Hello, and welcome to another episode of Glorious Life on Wheels. This video is the second in a series on senior poverty in America. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how some government systems that are supposed to be set up to help seniors and low-income individuals actually work against them and keep them impoverished. That's right, these very systems keep seniors in poverty. If you have experienced any of the things that I'm talking about in this video, I really would be interested in hearing your story and if you would share some of it in the comments. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? In today's video, I'm going to be primarily talking about HUD, which stands for Housing and Urban Development. Now, HUD has a program where they have housing units, and these units are set up for people who are low income or impoverished. Now, typically, the standard is that you have to earn only 30% of the median income in an area that you live in to be considered very low or extremely low income, and 50%, I think, of the median income to be considered low income. And some of those figures may change, I think, depending on where you live or the county that you live in, or even the state. Based on the research that I did in San Diego County, and I'm going to refer to my notes, extremely low income, which would be 30% of the median for San Diego County for a single person, would be $18,417 per year, which averages out to about $1,534 a month. Very low income, which is considered 50% of the median, would be $30,696 for a single person, which averages out to around $2,558 per month. Now, in some areas of the country, you may be saying, wow, that's a lot of money. But when you consider that the average one bedroom here in San Diego County is around $2,200, making $1,500 a month is not even going to allow you to be able to afford a modest one-bedroom apartment. And even if you jump through all the hoops and qualify for a unit, it could take years before you get one, because there are so many more eligible people in need of affordable housing units than there are units available. But let's say you're one of the few so-called lucky ones who gets an affordable housing unit, and you're only paying 30% of your income towards rent. Let's look at some of the ways that it's set up that you will never escape their clutches. Let's say that you are a woman making the average amount, or bringing in the average amount on Social Security for a senior woman, which is around $1,200, maybe a little more than $1,200 a month. After you've paid almost $400 a month for rent and your other expenses and everything, you have nothing left over. So you're sitting in your apartment all day doing nothing because you have no money to do anything. So you decide, you know, I'm going to go get a job. Now, you're not going to get a big giant job, just something working maybe 4 hours a day, $16 an hour, and you work 5 days a week. That'll come out to, if my math is correct, around $1,280 a month, which would bring your total income up to $2,480 a month. So you're all excited. Now you have some breathing room. You have enough to put a little bit in savings should you need to replace your tires, or you have a problem with your vehicle maintenance-wise, or any other emergency comes up. You have some space, some breathing room. But guess what? You don't. Because you know what's going to happen? They're going to kick you off the program. So now, instead of paying the $400 per month in rent, which is a third of your income at $1,200, you're going to have to go into the marketplace and pay the entire $2,200 average monthly rent for a one bedroom. And you're going to have to pay that out of your $2,480 a month. So you're actually worse off by getting a job than you were by living a meager, dismal life in their low-income apartment. I mean, then that's not the worst part. Well, I don't know, it might be the worst part, but it's not the only bad part. Then they have limits where you can't have more than $2,000 in your savings. Now, savings and work are two of the things that help a person to rise up out of poverty. And the very two things that help you to rise out of poverty, they de-incentivize, so you can't do them. Now, the limit that they have for you to have in savings, that amount, based on my research, hasn't changed in 40 years. Well, $2,000 40 years ago would go a whole lot further than $2,000 might go now. It could probably have gotten you a set of tires. It probably could have got your car repaired if something went wrong. It could have paid for an increase in your medicine. But $2,000 now will do very little if you have a major emergency. I'm going to share a clip with you of a gentleman who is not a senior, but he's on SSI. And the rules for SSI, a lot of them are similar to the rules for HUD. And I think he explains how, in a better way than I did, how being on some of these programs actually keeps you impoverished and keeps you from doing things that you could do to better your circumstances in life.
Every year, his hospital bills add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Andrew is on SSI, which qualifies him for Medicaid. He also has Medicare based on his disability, so the programs take care of the medical bills. The problem is, under SSI, Andrew is never permitted to have more than $2,000 in the bank. He says at this rate, owning a car and a modest home is far out of reach.
At age 40, I'm living in an apartment, don't have my own car, don't have my own house.
Andrew is a clerk at the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. He has multiple college degrees and says he has the potential to earn roughly $80,000 to $90,000 a year if he works full-time. But he's only working part-time because of the asset limitation imposed by SSI.
I would love to be full-time.
SSI was created in 1974 to help the blind, aged, and disabled people meet basic needs for food, clothing, and shelter.
The rules were established long ago when you could buy a car and a house for less than $10,000, and that's not the case anymore.
For people with disabilities or chronic healthcare needs, it's not a choice at all. They have to have healthcare. And therefore, yes, they have to remain impoverished or jump that gap completely and make a whole lot more money.
Andrew says he feels trapped by a program that was created to be his security net.
Andrew's circumstances are different from a lot of people's situations in that he has the capacity to earn a high income, but even so, he would be bankrupt because his medical expenses for his condition, I think it's spina bifida, would bankrupt him. So he'd be back in the same situation. These programs claim to be set up to fight poverty, but they actually perpetuate poverty. Why not allow someone, say a senior who's a nomad, if they're on one of these programs or if they go into HUD housing or get SSI, why not let them, if they can get a job and put a little bit aside each month, maybe over a period of 3-4 years, they could save up $10,000. In some areas like Arizona, you could buy a little plot of land for that. You could get a cargo trailer and you could outfit it out yourself and then get out of the cycle of poverty. The question that I kept repeatedly asking myself was, why would a system be set up to keep people in poverty? And you know, there's a saying, follow the money. So I started thinking about it and following the money. And I believe there's a reason. I think there's a diabolical reason that these systems are set up the way that they are. You know, I met a man a number of years back, and he worked with homeless outreach programs, and he worked with many of the programs that dealt with homeless and provided housing for homeless. And he told me something once, and I think it applies here. He said, we will never solve homelessness in this country because there are too many people getting rich off this problem. And I started thinking about it as I was thinking about why this system is set up the way it is for housing programs in this country. And I started thinking about all the people who are getting rich off the backs of people staying poor. If you think about it, there are all kinds of cottage industries that exist just to deal with low-income housing. You've got contractors who build the units, so they're making money. You've got social workers and eligibility technicians who have to qualify people, and all of them have to have poor people in order to have their jobs. You have monitors who are checking to see if you get a $10 gift certificate to make you claim it on your income. Oh, by the way, I did talk to someone who's in HUD, and one of the workers told someone if they take a payday loan, now this is a loan you have to pay back, and usually with a lot of interest, that they have to count that payday loan as income. Now I think they're fighting that, but this is what one of the workers told them. And anyhow, that's a whole nother subject. But again, there's so many people who are making money off of having people stay poor. I call it kind of a financial cannibalism. I would love to know if you agree or disagree with me, and if you would leave that in the comments and let me know. Also, if you've experienced some of these things that I've talked about and the limitations that have kept you in poverty and you feel like you're stuck because you're involved in one of these programs. Meanwhile, stay tuned. I have more coming up in this series, including what I think are some ways people can fight the system and perhaps get out of this vicious cycle of poverty. I love each and every one of you, and I hope your journeys are filled with joy and blessings, and I will see you next time.